Hello and welcome to a brand new Monday Night Therapy. I'm your fill-in host, Greg Mahachko. Of course, most of you know me from the host, the longtime, the original host of the Five Heart podcast that dates back all the way to 2016 and airs right here live Thursday nights, 9 o'clock Central on Core Nation's YouTube, Facebook, and X platforms. But already the comments. 1970s Child says, here's Minnie, and says, Minnie? Raji says, why Greg? Fred says, whoa, it's that other guy. And James says, Minnie needs to shave. Aaron is confused as to the night that it is tonight. I am here to say that I was asked to step in tonight as Minnie has a family situation that arose. So if we can, I say thoughts and prayers, but just raise one up to the deity of your choosing for her family. They could use our support. But she also gave me the keys to the kingdom. I've got a very exciting show for you tonight. And we're going to bring back some familiar faces, some familiar voices. So, with all that being said, please welcome back to Monday Night Therapy, my longtime friend, fellow Husker fan, and podcasting buddy, Reuter.
Good evening, everybody.
Oh man, the chat is in for an exciting night tonight because I haven't prepared anything, but luckily you have.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me about 5 minutes.
Who would have thought, honestly, that on the first day of fall camp, there'd be so much to talk about?
To quote Frank Solich, it looked like they were moving around real well.
1970s Child is talking about you, not me. Says he looks like he could beat me in arm wrestling.
I got to be honest, I'm not a good arm wrestler. I got these kind of short T-Rex arms, I don't have the leverage, so I'm not great at it.
You don't go over the top?
No. There's some people that are going to remain nameless that like to challenge people at some family get-togethers for arm wrestling. And let's just say it's just a sport that I've looked at and said, not my thing.
Are they going to remain nameless because they're sitting right next to you?
No, they're just going to remain nameless because I think names don't need to be divulged.
Fair. Fred says, whoa, it's Haas and Greg is unprepared. What year is this? 2022?
Yep, Fred's 2022, and I'm about ready just to raise hell about how much I hate Mark Whipple calling our play.
And Rostovsky says it's like a Coronation Podcast greatest hits night. So,
yep. We're like that old 80s cover band at your local bar.
Speaking of 80s, let's just touch on it real quick. It is not a good week to 10 days to have peaked in the 1980s. We had Malcolm Jamal Warner, Theo Huxtable, Ozzy Osbourne, Hulk Hogan, and then best friend of the show, Josh, even though it's a different show, texted me about 20 minutes ago that the baseball world lost Ryan Sandberg. So it's been a tough stretch for Gen Xers like me, Haas.
Hey, like you said, it's a bad week if you peaked in the 80s, and somebody better go check on John and Barry Switzer while we're at it. Brian Bosworth, too. Throw him in there.
Oh, gosh. Who else? Who else could we say? Bosworth is a good one.
Brian Bo I don't want to throw Bo Jackson.
No, let's not do that. Because Bo knows, and he'll come chase us down Tecmo Bowl style. So
I can see, maybe somebody needs to go check on Charles Barkley.
Hide your Turner Gills.
Yeah, you're getting up there a little bit.
Well, we do have a really exciting show because there is stuff to talk about, especially when you have Haas freaking Reuter with you on a Monday night. And as you said, moving real good. Obviously, we are not quite to the point yet. I don't think. Maybe we are. Where media is really being involved. I mean, obviously you get like the Lincoln Omaha media coverage, but it's not like last year when they were doing the Chasing 3 all off season long. So the program's been pretty tight-lipped in 2025 as far as, obviously there was not a spring game. So when you say moving real good, what is your initial takeaway, if you could expand on that just a little bit?
Well, I think anytime you have a first day of practice where it's just helmets and shoulder pads, I think it's more like the NFL Combine, where you're just really looking at how they're moving athletically, body types, who kind of reconfigured their body composition from over the offseason. And few of the big things that stood out to me were the tight ends, like Mac Markway, Heinrich Haarberg. Those guys, they look like legitimate Big Ten tight ends. I know I've been pretty effusive in my praise for Haarberg over the offseason when I've appeared on here in the comments section, but Markway looks like a dude at tight end. He looks like the kind of Big Ten tight end that can get downfield, as an inline tight end on play action passes, play from the H-back position, still be a really devastating blocker, and setting the edge, and also on some of those inside trap and wham plays that we'll probably run this season. Carter Nelson, his body transformation looked really good, put on some good weight. I think with his speed and athleticism, probably play more like some slot receiver. But other than that, I think it's really hard to judge anything other than, do these guys look like they can play? I think back to like 2022, oddly enough, we have referenced that earlier with Fred's comment. But I think about that year and like nobody looked very physically impressive on that roster. They all kind of looked either small or, really overweight, thinking of like Stephon Wynn, that Bama transfer DT, who basically we got sold a bill of goods. He was basically a bag of lemons out there on the field. But this year, like, we're starting to really look like an upper echelon Big Ten team in terms of our overall build, how the roster is constructed.
I'd be remiss if there wasn't one mention every show, at least every show that I'm a part of, which doesn't always include Monday night, but it's Monday night, and here we are. Roger Moore says Heinrich Haarberg looks like a quarterback.
You just said to me before we started that Heinrich Haarberg is still your QB1.
QB1, baby.
And you know what? What if there's a game where Dylan Raiola gets injured, Marco Davia gets injured, Jalen Gramstad gets injured, gets injured? Shit happens in Nebraska football. We're the most
sounds like that'd be QB5, not QB1.
Star-crossed, a program. And Heinrich Haarberg comes in and wins the Penn State game on the road. Greg, I would send you a stitched number 10 Heinrich Haarberg.
I would take it. So we got it. Are y'all hearing that?
Yeah.
What was that?
My God. God's music.
Shit.
Is that
Jon
satanic
Johnston.
music? Is that satanic?
Jon Johnston.
Does my mic work?
Yes.
I haven't done this in so long. I don't know what's going on.
John, have you been mailing some packages to people's mailboxes recently?
I haven't. I forgot to do that. God damn it. I forget everything. How are you doing? How are you guys doing?
I'm good. How are you is the real question.
The thing is I have to get back into this at some point. Probably not fully the live stuff because it just it messes me up. But I'll make an appearance every once in a while. You know what I did today?
Well, hold on.
What?
Bathed?
I need to properly introduce, because there may be some people in the chat who don't know you.
Oh my God.
I'm not saying it's likely, but ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Husker fans of all ages, making his return to live Corn Nation streaming video content, Corn Nation's founder and fearless leader. And look, for the first time in years, we have the tripod.
There you go.
And we would be nowhere without the man over here, the kickstand himself. You can take that however you want. Jon Damn Johnston. Hello, John.
Remember the tripod was sponsored by Blue Chew? We tried that.
Still is. Still is.
Wait, what? I was saying something.
You were. I apologize.
You know what I did today?
What'd you do today?
I did something that I haven't done for many months. I got pissed off about college football.
Well, good.
You know what I mean? I thought some of this passion might have been dead. No, I was trying to lay down and take a short nap, and all of a sudden I got really pissed off because of all the.
What was the moment? What was the moment that you're like?
Seeing Paul Feinbaum go on about the Big Ten's playoff format bullshit. He knows it's bullshit. He knows that most of the Big Ten fans don't support that crap. But he's still out there chain yanking. You know, I'm like, here's the thing. Here's the thing with the whole playoff format, the whole 8 versus 9 schedules. I'm going to make a short video about this too. I decided I need to get back into doing something on Corn Nation. I have been doing a lot of stuff on my history channel. I've done a whole gobs of stuff on the history of offense. I did a history of the wishbone. What?
We have to go watch those.
My history of the wishbone is over 250,000 views.
Did they consult with you for the wishbone documentary on SEC Network?
No.
You and Brian Boss were sitting in the same room.
Okay, wait. The college football playoff. Here's the thing about the college football playoff. Okay. Everybody, like I said, everybody's getting bent out of shape about the 8 versus 9 schedules and 4 automatic qualifiers. And I haven't seen a single media person. I'm trying to quit swearing as much. A single media person focus on what the real issue with the college football playoff. It's not 12 or 16 teams. It's who the hell are these people picking which teams are supposed to be in and what criteria do they actually use? They just make up shit. Why are we not talking about that more?
Agreed. And having something that's valid and reliable for the selection criteria.
We canceled the game with Nebraska and Tennessee because to play Houston Christian, who wants to see that game? Honestly, I mean, yeah, little kids maybe that will get to go to Memorial Stadium for the first time because they were forced into buying that home ticket by our athletic department to keep their season tickets. How did that poke that bear that feeds me? Whatever it is, but. There's no criteria. We canceled the game with Tennessee. You got Indiana out there canceling any good game that's in the preseason. You might as well call it a preseason. And, USC says, well, we want to keep our game with Notre Dame, but we don't know what it means to the college football playoff. Well, they don't know what it means because nobody will actually define anything about who gets in, who doesn't get in. I mean, you literally have a bunch of old people sitting in a room making decisions. I realize this happens in every corporation, all over the world. God knows politics, it's freaking old people making shitty decisions probably. But that just bothers me. And then I did nap and now I'm cranky. So fuck you guys. There you go.
John.
Aaron missed this. He missed the yelling on Monday Night Therapy. Yeah. And 1970s Child says, John's videos were the first I discovered on Corn Nation. He's what I will resemble soon when my hair and goatee turn gray. It's like looking at my future self.
Is that good? You can dye your hair gray. I have.
A little touch of gray.
You haven't. All right. So, John, so far, I know you were patiently waiting in the green room and definitely not flipping us off below the screen to where we could only see it. But Haas got us going talking about the tight ends and kind of the concern that there might not be any there's going to be an odd man out potentially.
Of the tight ends?
Of the tight ends. Squad.
Oh, you know what? I have paid no attention. I don't even know who's on our football team. I'm close to serious. I have literally paid no attention. Months ago I got pissed off at all the changes that are happening in college football so quick. They used to take decades. Now you got nil, you got people being paid, you got government getting in, you got lawsuits.
John, you said you're not familiar with anyone on our roster.
Well, okay.
Are you familiar? Have you accepted Minnie's personal Lord and Savior, Dylan Raiola, into your heart?
No, I haven't. If he doesn't win us 10 games this year, fuck that guy.
Thank you.
Fuck that guy. That's really it.
I'm just going to go on record that my tempering of expectations and praise on Dylan Raiola is probably doing him more of a favor in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got a lot to – he's got to hit the long throws. When you got a guy wide open for a touchdown, you got to hit that.
I think that was probably my biggest concern coming out of spring ball from what I heard from some people about he's still throwing the deep ball like he's throwing darts at a balloon up in the air. Like you got to hit somebody in rhythm. You got to rip it right up the seam.
Yeah.
And I go back to, I guess it was his senior year or after senior year, something like that. Before he landed on campus, he took part in the Polynesian Bowl festivities and I think won the quarterback, the distance challenge throw, able to throw it 70 yards. But again, that is a little different than catching a receiver in stride.
Well, you get excited.
Yep.
No, sure. I mean, I get excited and I'm not even playing football.
Oh, I think there is an element to that where it could have been adjusting the speed of the college game, trying to hit those deep balls. So that'll be one of the big things that I'm looking for this season. How does he, when we're running like not to name my own name here, we're running a Haas concept, hitch outside seam. That's what they call it.
You love it too, don't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's my favorite pass play. When we're running that and, he's got a slot receiver up the seam against cover 3, he's got to drop it right in the hole. He's got to rip it. He's got to hit somebody in stride between the underneath defender and outside linebacker and nickel and the safety over the top. So I think there are some throws last year that he really threw well, especially off platform. Like he had that throw back across the middle to Jalen Lloyd against Colorado. But there was also some deep balls. Like he led Jalen Lloyd a little bit too long against Colorado too. I'm not going to get into the Isaiah Neyor deep ball that he dropped against Iowa because that was all on Neyor.
Wasn't there one against Illinois in the end zone?
Yes, there was.
Overthrew Lindenmeyer.
I haven't forgot everything.
Lindenmeyer.
Okay, you know what? I really showed up because I heard Haas was here.
It's good to see you, John. Hey, John, I'm a father now, by the way.
Yeah, congratulations.
He's right there.
Oh, wow. That's both terrifying and beautiful.
Named after Lane Kiffin.
I can tell you this. Becoming a father was really difficult.
How it feels about being named after Lane Kiffin?
It's all right, Lane.
Becoming a father was the most terrifying thing I think that ever happened to me. But then you become a father and you don't realize how much love you can have in your life until you do that.
That first week we brought him home from the hospital, I realized, what the hell are we doing? Who gave us a kid?
Right.
I'm 35 years old and I still feel like a kid.
Yeah. The other thing is that it took me like a year before, there's a lot of fathers that are like, oh, the baby came out and I was a father. It took me like a year to not go, is that really human? What the hell is going on?
I think
came out. I don't know.
I think I looked at him as an alien life form for the first 2.5-3 weeks. I was like,
yeah.
You mentioned Haas a few moments ago. The Haas
hitch outside seam.
Roger believes it's different. He says Haarberg option sideline score.
Oh man, if that happened in a game, Greg wouldn't need to take any blue chew.
Okay. I was gonna say I wanted to talk to Haas about the offense. Not from the player standpoint, but from the fact that we have Dana Holgorsen in his first real year.
Yep.
His first year. What's it going to look like? Can we score 40 points a game?
Well, let's start off with what's it going to look like. I think it's going to really resemble more of an NFL pro style spread than it will the classic air raid that he ran, with Leach. And honestly, he hasn't really ran the classic air raid in a long time. At West Virginia, he had multiple 1,600-yard rushers. He committed to the run game. And I think that run game influence is going to be pretty strong in this offense still, because the weather in West Virginia is not all that dissimilar from the weather in Lincoln, Nebraska, and what we see in the Big Ten. But I think you're going to see a lot of those core elements of the air raid still. The mesh play, with the shallow crossing routes,
right,
the regular shallow cross. And I think you'll probably see a lot of heavier personnel. I bet we'll be in 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends quite a bit this year.
So not a lot of 4 verts. What the hell?
Well, I think we'll still run 4 verts, and we're probably going to run Y cross and Y sail as well. But it's probably not just going to be out of the gun, dropping back, 50, 60 times a game. I bet a lot of those vertical deep shots off 4 verts or Y cross as a weak side flood concept are probably going to be built off of play action.
Ah, okay.
I want to circle back to the tight ends before we fully abandon them and talk Holgorsen game planning concepts, things like that. Haas, you mentioned earlier Carter Nelson's transformation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say he came in as a freshman last year skinny or a beanpole, but he's got a tall frame on him.
He looked like a little bit like an Opie.
Okay. Now, for a tight end, we've talked in the past, probably the 3 of us, if you go back far enough, functional weight. Functional weight for a tight end is different than functional weight for a lineman, or just a straight. What does functional weight look like on a tight end?
I think the big thing, if you got to look at how you're using the tight ends. Most offenses, you're going to have the traditional Y tight end. He's going to be the guy that you can trust to put his hand on the ground, as an inline tight end attached to the offensive line. Also, ideally, you want him to be athletic enough to split him out wide in trips formations. For that guy, you probably want him somewhere between 235 and 250. And then you're going to have your H-back, and especially in more spread-oriented offenses, those guys traditionally are on the lighter side as well. They're going to be kind of 235 to 245. And then you're going to have your U tight end, which in the NFL, the U tight end in their offenses, it's basically just an extra offensive lineman who wears a pass-eligible number and who can run. That's what the archetype is for a U tight end. And I don't really see us having that U tight end on the roster. So I think with the tight ends like Lindenmeyer, Haarberg, and Markway, is it Markway or Markaway? I always want to add an A in there.
I think it's Markway.
Markway?
Yeah.
So with those guys, I think you're going to see those guys in the 235 to 250 range. I don't think you'll see them over 250 much. And then Carter Nelson, though, I don't think that's a guy that you want him to get above 235, 240 pounds. I think you want him to retain that speed. I think with his athleticism and body control as a track athlete, I think that he's really well suited to be that big slot receiver that you saw in Holgorsen's offenses at West Virginia. I think Haarberg could also play that role too. Oddly enough, there was a former quarterback at West Virginia, David Sills, who ended up being, an absolute terror at receiver. I think he was a Biletnikoff winner in 2018, or maybe even just a finalist. And he was unguardable for defenses. They couldn't cover him, especially in the play action aspects of Holgorsen's offense that year. So I think that's kind of the archetypes that we're looking for in terms of personnel, guys that can stretch the field vertically and guys that can set the edge in the run game. So I think we got 3 really good ones. And we were talking before the show, Greg, Lindenmeyer might be the odd man out, and he is not a bad
No, he's a good tight end.
Like, he's really solid. Can't get past him dropping a wide open delay route against USC on 3rd and 6, but that's besides the point. Got to let bygones be bygones.
Now, what is holding Carter Nelson back from being like a traditional outside, boundary receiver?
Honestly, he's probably at his size, he probably just quite doesn't have the elite high-end speed that a guy like Dane Key or Isaiah Hunter or Ja'Cory Barney would have. And I think that you kind of want to keep him in the slot a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, a little bit closer to the box, because you want that big body as support in the run game. When you're cracking a linebacker, cracking a safety, things like that. That's not to say I do think that he will line up on the outside on occasion. I think especially like if we're playing a defense, Michigan would be a good example with Wink Martindale as their defensive coordinator, former D coordinator for the New York Giants. And the Ravens. I forgot he was there for a second. What he's going to do is they're going to run a lot of different coverages. They're going to mix and match. You're going to have to identify coverages pre-snap. So I think what we'll probably end up doing within the construct of our offense is splitting a running back or a tight end out wide as the outside receiver, and then motioning them back into their traditional alignment just to see who do they put out there to cover these guys. So if they trot out a corner at that point, it's just zone coverage. But if they match a linebacker out there on Carter Nelson, or they match a linebacker out on Emmett Johnson when they're lined out wide, it's man coverage. So giving those little clues to help Dylan kind of process even faster. And I think that's the great thing too about having the mic in the helmet now in college football. Mm-hmm. You'll have the offensive coordinator being able to say, hey, look out for that. Hey, that linebacker's on Emmett Johnson. They're in man, motion him back in, Aaron Rostovsky said Mike McNeil style. Mike McNeil does not get enough credit for being one of the great tight ends in Nebraska. What I think Sean Watson called his position the adjuster. Like he was a dude. It's kind of a shame that Taylor Martinez was his quarterback his senior year, and most passes couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat.
Rostovsky also said that Carter Nelson said he never seriously lifted before.
Yeah, he just had that. He was just smooth. He didn't have any definition to him.
Rostovsky also gave us $1.99. He says, congrats, Haas. Also, I just want a crown. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. There's new ranking in YouTube Live. So your participation and then any super chats you give can elevate you into the top 3. So there's one we had. And then also Fred, $2 to John's Blue Chew and Gravy Fund.
I forgot about the gravy. Oh, my God.
Another question for you. It's totally off topic from Husker football. I was watching a YouTube video before we began about meals eaten during the Great Depression.
Yeah.
How often did you eat shit on a shingle?
Shit on a shingle.
Well, I mean, if it was – that would have been years ago, and you just ate whatever your parents gave you.
Okay. Well, what'd you eat when you came over on the boat with Pizarro and Cortez, to Mexico?
A lot of hardtack.
Okay.
So did they mention that in the video?
No, they didn't. They mentioned corn mush, though.
Well, corn. Why do I know what all these things are?
John, you've been alive since 1381.
Yeah. Okay. I have a football question.
All right.
You mentioned earlier play action. Are we going to do more play action than reading the defenders because that's Holgorsen's offense, or because Dylan Raiola isn't going to be able to read that fast?
I think more so because it's Holgorsen's offense. I think the Iowa game, and for whatever sick, twisted reason, I went back and watched it last week. And it's like exposure therapy. I was there that night. I have to, try to block some memories out, but also need to go back and look on some things because I'm actually doing a little bit of a commissioned study that I didn't tell Greg about. Greg, I'm just going to say that you commissioned me for it. Breaking down Phil Parker's Iowa defense that I'd like to have, air like the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, for the Iowa game. But in going back and looking at it, I think that Iowa game is actually a pretty good indicator of what our offense is going to look like moving forward. A lot of pistol formations, a lot of outside zone runs mixed with some inside zone and duo, a lot of bootlegs, play actions, kind of what I kind of try to call like double move type plays. I'm not talking about routes for double moves. Avery Moss. That's a reference. But,
I forgot to not get caught up on the
double action, split flow kind of concepts. Because if you look back at that Iowa game, we did a really nice job of kind of trying to cut the defense in half with flow going one way and come back the other way. Like, on some of the jet sweep motion, the escort motion that we were running with Janier and
Bonner. Brad Wilson for $2 says, John, are you going to the Michigan game?
I have no plans right now, but we never know when things will change. Notice that I don't notice. Remember that I don't really. What the hell is that? I don't really make plans until like a month before something happens. I'm getting distracted all over the place now. Okay.
Let's see. And then Dave Valensky for $4.99 says, who's Nebraska's biggest rival since we joined the Big Ten? Iowa, Wisconsin, or Minnesota?
Iowa.
Andy, get out of here. You're in the live stream. You want to do your own stream.
Is that what he's doing?
That's what he's trying to do.
Okay. Oh my God! I show up. It's the first day of fall camp. Also here and everything. You know what? Our air conditioning isn't working, and there's a big storm on the way to blow our house down.
John.
John. Vaya con Dios.
Dave also likes the College Football History Channel. Just for you.
Well, thank you, Dave.
That's John, cool. Who do you think our biggest rivals since we joined the Big Ten?
Iowa.
Yep. I was going to say I'm biased being the only Omaha on this podcast, but Omaha's the 38th parallel for that rivalry. I hate them. I hate them all.
I mean, put it this way, it can't be Minnesota because we literally lost and we walk out of the stadium going, who hates Iowa together? I mean, Minnesota bugs me because my son gives me shit. We better not lose to him this year. And I get a lot of crap for living up here, but it's not as much as Iowa. I mean,
you know what made me mad when I was at the Minnesota game in 2021, John, up in Minneapolis, that a can of Grain Belt cost $13 at that stadium.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I think I could buy about 36 of them for $13.
Even Fred was saying, Andy, it's Monday, not Tuesday. James misses the Monday chaos.
Hey, okay. Other thing is, I'm going to ask you this. We're supposed to have a really deep wide receiver room, right?
Yep.
What if every play we just take two guys on the outside and run them deep, just deep? Literally every.
Have you been studying Art Briles' 2015 offense?
Well, here's the thing. I have spent
what he did. That's essentially what he did.
Okay, and since we have a deep wide receiver room, we run the other team to death. So by the third or fourth quarter, you're not just running them down the field. You're swapping guys in and out. You're literally gassing the defensive backs.
Well, and I love that idea, especially going up against safeties, because on all run plays, especially in the Big Ten, and Tom Osborne did this. It's nothing novel that T.O. created. It's just kind of the way it works in the run game. Don't even block the corners. Corners don't want to tackle. They're in pass coverage first and foremost. So you crack linebackers, you crack safeties as the most dangerous men, to the play. And then if you just ran them off, you could just gas them. I think it might have been, I can't remember who it was, but us three, we did a night before the Colorado game podcast back in 2023, before Dion, hung 36 on us. And that was when we were making all the toes jokes,
Sounds like something we would do.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't standing 10 toes down. He had about 7 1/4. But anyways, I can't remember if it was Aaron Rostovsky or somebody said it in the chat about why not just put Jalen Lloyd, Malachi Coleman, and Jaden Doss out there and just cycle them through and keep running off Travis Hunter. Just run them off, just to gas him out. And so I do think there is some value in that. The only thing is, there's some really good defensive coordinators in this conference, and I think they'd probably figure it out pretty quick and just
but what are they going to do to counter it?
Well, I mean, at that point, you just man up on the outside and let your safeties scream downhill.
Right. So if we have this deep wide receiver room, which means let's say we have four starters. You know what I mean? 4 really good, all of them the best.
So Dane Key, Isaiah Hunter, Ja'Cory Barney, Janier Bonner.
Yeah. If we have those 4 guys that are better than anybody else, just take two of those 2, their corners or their safeties or whoever, just run them every play. They can't. Is Iowa going to have 4 guys that's going to be able to keep up with that, covering them man for a whole game?
I think from what they would probably do schematically is probably switch to just a cover 4. Quarter system,
right?
And they would probably just start passing guys off and pattern matching. The problem is if you were running just 4 verts every play attached to a run out of 10 personnel, you're outnumbered in the box still, So it would be very interesting. I think they should just say F it and, throw it out there, see what would happen.
One thing, we can have these conversations now.
Yeah.
Where last year it was Marcus Satterfield. What the fuck is he doing? That's literally what the conversation was the entire season.
Marcus Satterfield's offense, and I defended him a lot in 23, Greg. You know that I did. Last year I was like, yeah, he's not the guy for, coordinating an offense with this kind of quarterback. Marcus Satterfield's offenses was like going to a USA steak buffet when you have the Drover right across the street.
There you go.
That's what it was. I mean, I still think one of the worst Husker game plans I've ever seen was when we went up to East Lansing a couple of years ago and lost to Michigan State. Greg, that infamous over-analysis podcast you did with the AI Al Pacino in a fight in the Comfort Inn and Suites parking lot.
Which an image that no longer exists on my computer, or I put it up right now for.
Oh, I have it on my phone.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I saved it.
Well, speaking of Marcus Satterfield and last year in wide receivers, James Boardman says this time last year we felt good about the receiver room. They were underwhelming.
What?
I do agree. I do agree that they were a little underwhelming. Jamal Banks, I felt like didn't get enough targets. Isaiah Nayor was just way too streaky. And then you had a really young Ja'Cory Barney still figuring it out. And I thought Jalen Lloyd just did not get near enough reps last year that he should have. Like, that's the one transfer we had that transferred out that I wish we would have kept him.
Lloyd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
More so than Malachi Coleman?
Malachi Coleman, I think I said it on a podcast once before. What he needed to do was get into a squat rack, get a jug of protein powder, and put on about 60 pounds and be like a Lawrence Taylor type pass rusher.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you gave the specifics about how to put on the pounds, but I remember you saying he'd be a hell of a pass rusher. Yeah, he would have been a hell of a pass rusher. I think they should have put him there. And then I had this one posted up, didn't quite get to it a minute ago, didn't want to interrupt, but Roger Moore says, does a passing game need to be balanced with the running game? Because I know, Haas, you also said running back room is maybe one of your bigger areas of concern.
I'll answer the concern part first and then Roger's question second. After Emmett Johnson, it drops off pretty sharp. And I think, I've never seen it with Quentin Ives. I just don't know if he's ever going to be the kind of back that can come in there and be reliable for you. Maybe it's his height. He just doesn't seem to have the lateral movement. He doesn't seem to run with any authority, running downhill behind his pads. And that's in the limited exposure that we've had to seeing him on the field. But with running backs, that's such a position. It's kind of it's like the definition of pornography, according to the Supreme Court. You know it when you see it with a running back. Rex Burkhead is a freshman. He had a shovel pass that he took for a touchdown against Florida Atlantic. You knew it when you saw it. You could tell that there was something there. There's other guys. Roy Halu flashed as a freshman. Amir Abdullah flashed as a freshman. With Quentin Ives, we haven't really quite seen it. Emmett Johnson's a good example. When he got his first action in 2023, kind of got, rose to the top of the depth chart because Anthony Grant couldn't stop fumbling the football. You could see in that Illinois game in Champaign that year, he had an explosive first step. You're like, okay, there's something that we can work with here. But other than that, Connor Booth's a freshman. Parker's going to be I think he has the potential to be a really good back, but he's still young as well. So I think that switching Isaiah Mosey to running back is a really good decision by the staff, especially, Holgorsen had a guy, Tavon Austin, who rushed for 344 as a receiver. Then he switched to running back. He played receiver, had to go in at running back for a game against Oklahoma and tore them up. So Holgorsen identifying that, it's like, okay, is maybe this a guy like a Tavon Austin to get in there and play like that? Secondly, to Roger's question, I think that, to quote Mike Leach, it's not so much about a 50-50 balance. It's about being effective when you do run. It's like, John, you were doing a wishbone series,
Yeah.
OU didn't throw much with the wishbone, but when they did, it was devastating.
Yeah.
It was lethal. Texas Tech under Leach with Baron Batch at running back, they didn't run much, but it was lethal when they did. Now, I'm not saying we're going to run as little as Leach did, but I think that if you can pop big runs, 7+ yards on a consistent basis, I think that that's going to be the balance in and of itself to go rush for 180 yards a game.
I think you got to define what you are, and that's the big problem that we've had with. I think honestly, that's the number one thing. If you started it, that you're going to be a good offensive coordinator versus a very good one. It's knowing what you are and saying this is our core, and then we're going to build off that. And then I think
changing it year to year based on the talent you have available.
Yeah.
Nebraska is like a cognitive immobility where we've had coordinator after coordinator on both sides of the ball that are like, no, we do it this way.
Right.
We're going to do it my way. And that's what's been a little bit of a breath of fresh air under Rule with Tony White came in, installed the 3-3-5, knew that we weren't very strong in the back end in coverage. So we ran a lot of exotic fronts in 23 to get pressure, to stop the run. In 24, we were stronger in the back end, and he went a little bit more. He was able to play more basic coverages, more static coverages back there. I think he almost got too conservative, but I'll even give Marcus Satterfield the tip of the hat. What we were trying to do to start 23 wasn't working. They adjusted on the fly. Now, was it pretty? No.
Right.
But, they were digging into the bag of tricks, and I say tricks in the loosest definition of the word, but against Louisiana Tech that year, we ran a lot of 22 personnel, 2 backs, 2 tight ends. One of the tight ends was Teddy Prohaska lined up, as a tackle eligible, to bring in a little bit more size to run the ball against certain fronts. So that kind of adjusting is a breath of fresh air. And I think with a guy like Holgorsen, somebody that's coordinated offenses at a very high level, I think you're going to see more variance week to week in, okay, we have this to work with against this defense. This is what we're going to do.
There's somebody earlier said if Emma Johnson gets hurt, we're in a lot of trouble. But I think the thing about, again, being a good defensive or offensive coordinator versus a very good one is you know what you have and you can adjust to make up for those, shortcomings, or like Haas said, change and be flexible. And you have to do that sometimes during the year. If you lose this star or that star, you have to be able to put your offense still in a position to succeed. So
2 things, guys. First of all, a few minutes ago, Dave Walensky says, as a Minnesota fan, by the way, he paid to say this, I mostly hated Scott Frost for what he said about our program, but he's going to suffer at UCF. I don't know if he's going to suffer at UCF. I don't know how many people suffer in Orlando. But, Haas, you mentioned the difference between the defense in 2023 and 2024 and maybe the experience on the back end. I wonder if that's why Tony White became more
I think he became more conservative to a fault.
Well, but I mean, we weren't blitzing a whole lot, and I don't know if that's because we had Ty Robinson, Nash Hutmacher. We had guys who could, hold their blocks, but hold up the offensive linemen.
Get interior pressure.
Yeah, we just didn't blitz. I would love to see blitzes sprinkled in more. I don't know why we don't do it.
That's one of the things I really liked about John Butler in the Boston College Pinstripe Bowl. We brought a lot of pressure. We brought more blitzes, especially with our outside linebackers, a lot of dog blitzes. And I think it's a case of, I think there was a disconnect between Rule and Tony White last year on that. I think that was by no accident at all that Butler is the guy that Rule promoted and also brought in Phil Snow. I think Rule wanted to continue to get more pressure. I think he wanted to be a little bit more exotic in coverage in the defensive backfield because, we always talked about like 3rd and Chenander under Eric Chenander. We'd get third down all the time, and then we'd give up a simple 14-yard curl on 3rd and 12 because we'd be playing a simple cover 3. We'd be playing just a basic quarters or palms coverage in the back end. I think that you do have to maybe mix in some combo coverages, split field coverages. And if you're bringing extra pressure and you're heating the quarterback up, affecting the passer, as Rule always says, I think that if you're getting him off his spot, if you're making him think as, where the pressure's coming from and where he's got to go with the football, well, he might look pre-snap and think it's man, and then you roll to a coverage on that side and it's a zone or a pattern match, and you're playing man away from the passing strength. So I think that's just like when you accused me last week, Greg, of loving the minutia of the game with Mike for Minnie to ask to Kirk Ferentz and Deshaun Foster. That's the game within the game. And like third down is the money down on both sides of the ball. That's when it's the true chess match between offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator.
So, John, you mentioned a moment ago Dave Harris's comment, if Johnston gets hurt, the running back room is in trouble. Husker Chuck says right after that, if Raiola gets hurt, the quarterback room's in worse shape.
I don't know. You got guys,
Yeah, but if you got guys from Purdue, I don't know how good the guy. Give me Jalen Gramstead.
Jalen Gramstead, the next Baker Mayfield.
Anything's possible.
No, I do want to touch on if Emmett Johnson goes down, how much trouble we'd be in. If he was more of a physical inside runner, I'd feel a lot worse if he were to get injured. But where does he make most of his yards? Outside zone and in the passing game.
Yeah.
So if you can replace that with other guys, an Isaiah Mosey on outside wide zone plays, out of the backfield on passes, you're not maybe hurting as much. I think you're probably limiting yourself on the chance of explosive plays, but it's not like when we lost, Amir Abdullah, to some injury issues in 2014 when he tweaked his MCL against Purdue. And after that, we're trotting out, a young Terrell Newby and Amani Cross who maneuvered like a beer truck.
Lots of comments here. This one's interesting from the other Dave. His 6-year-old daughter, Maddie Lou, asks him, why do you watch football commentary when you don't play football? Because, Maddie Lou, we have a problem.
There's no rec leagues for adult football.
There's a hole in our heart that can only be filled by football and talking about football with our friends. And on Monday nights and Thursday nights, we get together, various individuals, and we talk about football with our friends.
There was a comment.
I thought the answer to that is because we do this because we can't go fishing all the time.
It's true.
I might be in the minority here. I can't stand fishing unless it's on.
Well, you want to be catching. That's what you want. I want to go. When you say that, you mean I want to go catching, not fishing.
No, I want to go fishing on the ocean, not fishing.
Oh, that's true.
Fishing at Pawnee Lake.
I'm perfectly happy sitting on a pond in a lawn chair as long as I have a cooler next to me.
Cooler full of Yingling.
Cooler full of Yingling. I give me that P&Q and a little bit of Yingling. So, what was the comment you were talking about, Haas?
Aaron Rostovsky at 941 talking about Connor Booth, how he was heavily pursued by Arizona State at the end to take the Scatabo role. That, skin color notwithstanding between the two, I do think that he is going to be the kind of player, maybe not to that level, maybe not to Rex Burkhead's level, but whatever it's said and done after his time at Nebraska, he's kind of going to have that folk hero type status, like the, Brooke Behringer, Jordan Westerkamp, Rex Burkhead. I realized I just named 3 white players as well, but it's just, that's kind of the ilk that he reminds me of.
Nebraska Strong says, Husker boosters, please raise the NIL money immediately so we can keep Torrey Pittman III here in Nebraska. I like the resounding nods. And
I don't know what to think about NIL anymore,
You know what? I miss when college football was you were there for 4 years at the same program.
Or something resembling that.
Okay, John, actually, speaking of transfer portal and NIL.
Yeah.
If the transfer portal existed in the 90s, who do you think Nebraska would have lost off their roster?
Oh my God.
And who do you think Nebraska would have brought in from other places? I mean,
wait a minute. If the transfer portal or nil or
both.
Okay. Both. It's easy. Both is easy.
Okay.
You know why both is easy? And I'll go from the 90s to the 80s. I would say who we would bring in because Barry Switzer wouldn't be able to pay people under the table and get all those quarterbacks.
Hey,
we would have brought in Jamal Holloway. Hey?
We were paying people too.
Well, we're good. They're evil. It's still true today, you son of a bitch.
Tom Osborne was not St. Thomas of Hastings, okay?
He was okay. We would have bought Jamel Holloway. Come on, Thompson. Was it Charles Thompson?
Charles Thompson.
Who else was there?
Just from OU or just people in general?
Marcus Dupree, maybe, and kept him away from sports betting because he would have been getting paid anyway.
I think of one from the 90s. I think we would have lost like Clinton Childs, Damon Benning elsewhere because they probably could have started elsewhere.
Yeah.
But one that I thought of when I thought of this question, I was like, what if Nebraska, if that existed back then, take a run at Ricky Williams when he was at Texas? Because he was on some real shit Texas teams.
He was. That's true.
Do you think
you said that somebody said Keith Jackson. That's true. Keith Jackson was just you think about this for a minute. But Keith Jackson was in the wishbone offense. And what was he, an All-American tight end?
All-American tight end.
That guy was so incredible
for the Packers.
Yeah.
Nebraska Strong says we would have definitely lost Brooke Behringer if the transfer portal existed in 1994.
I think we probably would have lost either Crouch or Newcomb in the late 90s, too.
I think we would have lost Lawrence Phillips.
Don't be sinning, Greg.
Yeah, Greg.
Don't be sinning.
That's the greatest all-time football player ever.
Son of a bitch.
Okay.
Commit blasphemy right here on Monday night.
You know what? I'm gonna get John a Lawrence Phillips jersey for Christmas.
Wait, I have one somewhere. It's actually signed. Yeah.
You want to put me into your will? Like, you just send that to me.
1970s child says we would have gotten the Boz.
He wouldn't. Would he have fit in with Osborne? Probably not. Would he would have fit in well with Charlie McBride? Oh, there you go. Roger Moore said lost Tom Rathman. Tom Rathman was so fun.
Would have lost Roger Craig, says Gargamel.
Where's who is it that was the equipment trainer in '83?
He's here. I know he's here.
What are you talking about?
Brad Wilson.
All right. I just want to know, both from Brad and from John, do you think Irving Fryer threw the '84 Orange Bowl?
No.
Okay.
You know why I say that?
Why?
Because it's like when my oldest son brings up that we didn't actually land on the moon. Some things are so core to your fucking being that if people challenge them, you want to stab. You just like violence has. That's the first response. Violence, not because it might not have happened, but because I can't allow myself to believe it.
I have some friends. I'll call them acquaintances now who are flat earthers. And I have gone round and round with them many times.
That's the best ROI on any troll anywhere. You just tell people I'm a flat earther, and they just freak. I
had to learn not to take the bait anymore because it made my head want to explode.
Yeah.
Fred says we would have lost Frost to whatever state had the headquarters for Spearmint Rhino. And actually, Rostovsky says all the wide receivers would have transferred out because we were such a run-heavy team.
Yeah, I mean, think about guys like Kenny Cheatham, who was a really solid player. He probably would have gone somewhere with the size and speed he had, probably gone to Florida or something, Florida State.
There was a comment in here about losing Boyd Epley.
Why would he leave? I mean, early on, he wasn't really appreciated as much, but I think that went away, pretty quick.
Yep.
I mean, he proved himself, so...
Gary says, I don't know if we would have lost those backups because Nebraska was the Alabama of the time and guys wanted to play for championships.
That's a good point.
That's a really good point, Gary.
On the other hand, you had like 150. Didn't you have 150 people in the rosters? I think you did.
Yeah, but everybody got a ring if they won, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
did
not.
They get
limited to
rings or did they get Walkmans?
You know,
They got Firebirds.
with the orange earphone.
Yeah.
Protective piece of classic.
All right, we want to keep talking about the 90s, or we want to get back to
now. Get back to now.
All right, John, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh, I thought you already did this.
No, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Give me your record prediction for 2025.
10-2.
Okay. I've been sitting at 9-3 all off season. Now I'm in the 10-2 camp, and by August 28th, I'll probably be at 11-1. I'll delude myself into it.
Here's the thing. I'll probably do a short video about this and try to get back into things. It's Matt Rule's third year, and we've all heard about, we've been hearing now for 2 years, almost 3, that Matt Rule's third year is some kind of magic, the beanstalk grows and everything happens. And he has a track record of doing that. So he has a track record of, yes.
I only have to say this because it's the three of us. What makes the beanstalk grow, John?
Blue Chew.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. I want to
I walked right into that, didn't I?
I want to counter something
Son of a
about
bitch.
the year 3 Matt Rule jump. I'm not trying to be a Matt Rule hater. I love Matt Rule. I hope he's the guy here. That being said, if you look back at that Baylor 2019 year, they didn't really beat anyone of any substance.
Right.
So that's the one thing that gives me a little bit of pause with the jump in year 3.
Okay. The other reason why I say 10-2 is this. We won. How many games did we lose because of special teams? 3? 2?
Illinois in overtime.
Illinois, missed field goal. I still think we probably
blocked punts. Guys that don't go by the scores. Look at the play of how much you couldn't even flip the field. You couldn't get a ball off. I mean, they were horrible. That has to be demoralizing as well when you're you're like, could you do something? And then, no, we're going to fuck everything up.
I think that the Illinois game, I know Hall missed a field goal late. Even if he hits that field goal, I don't know if we stop Illinois from going down the field. Take the lead, win 30-27, 31-27. So you got the Illinois game.
Okay.
Rutgers came damn close to losing that because of special teams. Thankful that we won. Ohio State special teams really didn't hurt us in that game all that much. That was actually the game that they started to figure it out.
Right.
But I would say Iowa, that's 2. USC.
If you say Iowa, it's like 30.
I'm trying to think back to the USC game. Special teams cost us in that one. Okay. All I remember at the end is Jamal Banks getting interfered with. They didn't, throw the flag.
Okay, but you've got a guy now. You've replaced the guy, the incompetent boob, with a guy that has a proven track record of special teams, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, offense. You've replaced the guy that really couldn't run an offense at all with a guy that has run offense all over the place. That he's known for being an offensive coordinator, right? 40 points a game. I want 40 points a game. Okay, I'll come back to that in a minute. And then you got the defense. I don't know shit about John Butler. He's kind of the wild card. He hasn't been a defensive coordinator at this level, right? So there's always going to be some
Penn State in 2013.
Okay, once. But there's always going to be growing point, problems.
I do think that Phil Snow is probably going to be more the defensive coordinator than John Butler will be.
Say that again.
I think Phil Snow will be more of the actual defensive coordinator than John Butler will be.
But you still have to work out like on-field communication, stuff like that. So I'm expecting the offense to do great things.
Well, I wonder defensively, I don't mean to keep going back to that, John, but defensively, if it's Phil Snow putting together the game plan all through the week, putting together the call sheet, is John Butler calling it on game day or is Phil Snow? Because at that point, there could be some game day miscommunication issues. There could be some egos in the way of, hey, I want to do this on this 3rd and 3. No, I want to do this. So who knows how that could go. I do like having Phil Snow on the staff. I wish that we would have got him back in 23, but Tony White was not a bad consolation prize at all. But anyways, back to your reference on the offense.
I just, I think the offense is going to be, I forgot where I was going with that, Neil. Okay. Yeah, no, here's the thing. I keep saying 40 points a game. And that's because if you're one of the top 5 offenses in the nation, top 3, you're going to be scoring 40 points a game. And how can you tell that is? Well, compared to last year, we beat the living shit out of Colorado on the field. The moment they threw that pick 6, that game was over. The rest of it was just like candy and glazing on a giant. Lots of shit to get glazing on a donut. But what did we do? We walked around on offense most of that game.
Yeah, it felt hollow leaving that game after that, even winning the game.
But if we see that again,
10-0 in the second half.
Yeah, if we see that again in the beginning game, well, any of the beginning games, then
that was one of my issues with Rule on the chasing 3 after that game, where he talked about don't hang your heads about not scoring in the second half. That's called game control. Don't ever take your foot off their throat.
Right. Yeah.
You got a chance to, step on their throat. You take the chance and step on their throat.
We've talked about that for years, putting the boot on their throat.
Yeah, boot on their throat.
And just watching the life drain from their eyes.
Yeah, that.
God, what have you been doing? That game should have ended 56-3.
It should have. Sons of bitches.
I mean, that first half was a belt to ass beating. BTA, and we really kind of we tripped over our own dick in that second half.
I know we had a touchdown call back. I think it was the Ramir Johnson run that was called back through some holding or something, and that was in the second half. But
Ja'Cory Barney had one called back too.
Okay, so there's 14 points right there. So
you're just making things up now.
Who, me?
Yeah.
No. All right, John.
You're not making things up about the game, but stop making excuses for Marcus Satterfield, you son of a bitch.
I wasn't. It's
not. I want to be angry about things that feel like I've been dead inside for months, Greg.
I'm not making excuses for Satterfield. I'm saying that overall, from top to bottom, we need to have more of a killer instinct, and that starts with Matt Rule.
That does, and I think that NFL model of just, like Fred pointed out, Rule's line about we were in no danger of losing the game rang hollow after a while. That NFL model of getting a lead and sitting on it doesn't work as well in college football. No. It's a different game. You have to just keep pounding. And, I felt like the play calling in the second half of that game kind of exposed how shallow the call sheet was for that offense under Satterfield. Basically, you had 2 or 3 runs for Dante Dowdell. You had a jet sweep for Ja'Cory Barney, and you had an RPO to the flat for Thomas Fidone. And then you had your basic drop back passing game. It was pretty shallow, and that kind of goes into the problem where do you want to install a lot of offense and be a master at nothing, or do you want to install just enough offense to be a master at it, but then when defenses are presenting you with different looks, you don't know what to do?
Which one would you do?
I think that there's a happy medium. I think that there's a point where you can install enough to have answers for how defenses are going to try to take away what you do well. When Alabama got their ass kicked by Clemson to end the 2018 season, the national title game, Saban kind of reconfigured his offensive staff a little bit because he said we just didn't have enough offense in the game plan to come back from that for what they were doing to us. We needed more plays in the playbook. Was
that John? Were you waving to the boss?
Yeah.
She's not used to all this yelling on a Monday night
she's
or
not. She's
at
not.
all. So
she's not. The dog has to come into my room at night now for some reason. So
can we see the dog?
Can we see the dog?
Yeah.
Esther.
We got to see the baby. Might as well see the dog.
Yeah. She does not look amused. John, are you wearing Zubaz?
Yes, I am wearing Zubaz.
Are you a Buffalo Bills fan?
No, I've had these things. You know what? I think years ago I got these from the Minnesotans for Nebraska or something.
There you go.
Did you wear them for the 94 Orange Bowl when
No,
these are it didn't matter if Byron Bennett made that kick or not? I always remember that. You said that.
Okay.
So
I've had these for a long time. There are many years. I've had like 3 or 4 pairs of them. They're almost done now. But yes, I didn't wear these out in public. I don't think I would do that. Maybe at the time.
All right, John, you mentioned earlier that you haven't felt alive in months. Fred says someone punched John in the dick so he can remember what it's like to feel.
Well, I don't feel things there, so there you go.
Too much information.
Yeah. Well.
All right, this is
John. You should consult with a urologist.
Okay. Never, things you learn about your boss when you don't expect it. Hoss, you before the show, in the little prep that we had, you had a list of 6 things that is going to come down to for Nebraska to go 10-2. Before you give me your list, I want to put Nebraska Strong's list up there and see. Let's compare. Now he says that he's sending this message lovingly to John. We'll just say it to everybody. It says, John, I'm hopeful for 10-2. We need to clean up special teams, like making some damn field goals, reduce false start and holding penalties on the offensive line, cut down on interceptions and mental mistakes. Now, what you said to me, Hoss, you know what? It's your list. You did the prep work. I didn't.
All right.
Do we get a guess?
Yeah.
Why not? Number 1 says score 40 points a game.
It does not, does it?
No, it doesn't. I'd be happy with about 33 to 35 point per game average.
Okay. Does number 1 say explosive plays?
No, it says run the ball.
RTFB.
Oh, God, come on. Really? Does it?
Yeah, it says run the ball. So my first 4 are nothing groundbreaking. It's the same stuff that Rule said in his introductory press conference when he was hired. Run the ball, stop the run, protect and affect the passer. So those 4 fundamental things are what we have to do. Number 5, take care of the football. I mean, it needs to be like Denzel Washington and Remember the Titans. You fumble the football, I'll break my foot off in your John Brown hind parts. And
then you will run a mile.
Win special teams. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, I've been talking with every game Jake, all throughout the offseason. We always get back to talk about that Cincinnati game. And talking about that Cincinnati game, schools of thought, Jake thinks we win something like 41-10. That's his pick. We have a little bit of a gentleman's bet on the game. I'm thinking it's more of a 31-21 kind of game. And 31-21, if we're crisp in those first 4, run the ball, stop the run, protect and affect the passer, and then taking care of the football, I'll be happy. But the big litmus test in that game for how crisp we are will be on special teams. Do we make field goals? Do we cover kickoffs well? Do we generate good kick return yards? For the love of God, I'd like to see at least a 10 to 12-yard punt return at some point in the game too. I mean, I'm not asking for much at this point. Granted, special team schematics have changed drastically, so it's a little bit harder to generate return yards. But if we're crisp in all facets of the game and we get into a dogfight, a little bit of a dogfight with Cincinnati and win by 7 to 10 points, that's okay. I mean, this is a team that Sorsby is a good quarterback. I think he'll give us some problems. They've got a couple of really good defenders, Corleone especially, which I just always think of the Godfather every time I see his name when I'm playing CFB 26. Took me, I got beat by Cincinnati in my first game after I bought the game, 38-37. Lost in the most Nebraska fashion ever, too. Seriously. I was down 30-13, came back to take the lead 37-30, and then lost on a touchdown, 2-point conversion. But anyways, nobody wants to hear about me playing CFB. That's like me talking about fantasy football.
Yeah.
But no, like those keys to this year, it really is that simple. But it's simple, easy. No. We have an uphill battle in front of us that we've had as a program for better part of, going on 2.5 decades. And so at some point, we've got to be able to do the simple things that take a lot of effort and be able to do it at a high level. You have to not blow an assignment when you got a team on 3rd and 8 and you're up 4 late in the game. USC is one of those games that, just kind of judging on how the teams played last year, probably will turn into a back and forth game in Lincoln this year. So if you have Jaden Maeva in 3rd and 8, you can't let one of the receivers get loose after he scrambles. You have to stay disciplined. You have to stay, within your assignment. And I think the big thing too, in terms of the stopping the run part, it's the tackling. The tackling did break down a little bit late last year. We weren't as crisp as we were in the first half of the year. Not even going to get into the Caleb Johnson swing pass that he took 70 yards. There were some issues in the Boston College Bowl game with tackling too. Granted, field conditions were absolute shit that day.
Subpar.
But those 6 things, doing those is playing fundamentally sound football.
Before, John, you jump in, James Boardman with a really good idea. Maybe we'll call it number 7, key number 7, shorten the yardage change to 8 yards so Dylan can get a first down rushing. When Minnie goes back to watch this tomorrow, if she has time, she'll appreciate that comment. By that, I get yelled at every Thursday when I bring it up, and I bring it up every Thursday.
One thing I'd like to see from Dylan running the ball this year, and it's more on Holgorsen as well, mix in a speed option every once in a while on 3rd and 2. Get that DN to commit and then pitch it out wide to Mosey or Emmett Johnson or even a receiver coming around in motion. There were so many times, especially before Holgorsen took over, where we'd be sitting in 3rd and 2 and we'd bring like Haarberg in at quarterback situations. And all we would run is like a quarterback wedge or a quarterback blast play up the middle. It's like, just run speed option. You got a guy that runs like a deer, guy that's physical enough to run over a linebacker. Like, don't over.
Okay, so you're saying not with Dylan.
No, even with Dylan, you see. No, I'm not talking about him running over a quarterback or a linebacker. I'm sorry. I'm talking about getting the ball, running parallel the line of scrimmage, getting that DN to commit to him, and then just flipping the ball outside. The speed option's been a great short yardage play for a lot of air raid teams. OU did it with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. Dylan's not all that dissimilar of an athlete from Baker Mayfield.
I think that he has to show he's not afraid to take a hit.
Yeah. You got to be a tough dude to play quarterback in the Big Ten Conference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see.
And he can't slide 2 yards shy of a first down.
He has to make up for that yet. I don't care if we run the ball. Running the ball is not, I'm not that freaky about it.
I just want to see a well-constructed run game.
Fred says, Haas, we can't run a speed option with Dylan. He just vanished into fat air.
Wow.
He's not in here right now, Fred.
His weight has been much maligned this offseason. And I'm sure, I know on Thursday night, Minnie was in Vegas because she was at Big Ten Media Days, and she said, he looks great. Perfect shape. I'm also in shape, and I'll tell you why, because round is a shape. So let's not get carried away.
I don't know if I should say what I said after I watched the Media Day stuff about I'm not going to say it. Sorry. I'm not going to.
He did look good at Media Days. He did.
Oh, I was talking about a suit.
Oh.
That's just go with a classic suit, man. This is my boomer old man yells at cloud rant,
A couple back-to-back fun comments here. Brad Wilson says, good to see John not on his shitter.
John, was that the Illinois game that you sat on your shitter for the post-game video? It
was Northwestern.
The Scott Frost Dublin game.
Yeah, Illinois, I sat down there on a bench in a little park we have about, 100 yards, probably 200 yards away from my house.
Josh says he's not on his shitter yet. Wait till Greg drives him there. Thanks, Josh. That's why we're friends, buddy.
No, back to the run. Sorry.
No, I was going to say the other day says Dylan will be more mobile this season, faster than an Acorn stair lift, faster than a Krispy Kreme drive-thru. I really had high hopes for that being a positive comment when I started it. We're going to have to start giving the other Dave the Fred treatment. I'm going to have to read the whole thing before I post it. Sorry, Haas.
No, you're fine. I'm just laughing at the comment. No, John, you were saying like you're not, run the damn ball guy. I'm not either. It's having a well-designed run game, a well-called run game, being able to execute. I think, I mentioned, we'll probably run a lot of wide or outside zone, depending on the parlance. I don't know which parlance this staff uses for that. But I think we'll see a good counter game in there. And I'd like to see us have a good, maybe draw series, sprint draw, just traditional draw out of the shotgun, something to get some linebackers frozen, get them out of position before hitting them, between the A gaps, which I know I just set myself up for a comment from Fred when I said that. But, I think that running the ball effectively is more important than volume in running the football.
Good point. Remember that, everybody.
And get ready to be in shotgun on 3rd and 2, guys.
Yeah.
I'd really like to, not be in shotgun ever.
Okay. Okay, Lavelle Edwards. Go back to, Provo, Utah in 1984. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. Now, you mentioned being able to run the ball effectively, and I'm looking at the notes, and by that I mean your notes, because I'm not going to – I'm old school. I don't prepare for it. But you said that the offensive line is deep, and I don't think we've touched on that yet today.
No, we haven't. I mean, when you have – I don't know if Tyler – was it Tyler Knack? Is that how you say his last name? Knack?
Yes, one of those two.
Okay, we're just going with that one.
I defer to John.
Yeah, John. When he's the starter at right tackle to start camp, from all indications, is that him getting a little bit of an upperclassman nod, being a guy that came here with Rule in 23 after he transferred from Utah? Or is this a guy that is playing, has recomped his body, gotten into shape, and is ready to take that next step and be a starter for this season? But then you're looking at like, okay, Elijah Pritchett's going to be locking down the left tackle side. Where does that leave Gunnar Gatula?
Right.
If Gunnar Gatula was a skill position guy, everyone would have been talking at the end of last year how good he was going to be in his career. He played really well after getting kind of kicked around a little bit when he got thrown in against Illinois. And I know Rostovsky mentioned it earlier. Him and Justin Evans really whiffed on picking up a couple of stunts from the end and tackle in overtime. But when you look at it like, okay, if he's not starting, that's a guy that started a lot of games just sitting on the bench. Yeah. And then Rocco Spindler, 5th-year guy, he's at Notre Dame before. Justin Evans has been, a really solid player for the most part through his first couple of years at Nebraska, and I think he'll continue to develop at the center position. Latovsky needs to take that next step as well. But then when you think about like Sam Sledge, I know there's a lot of talk about how well his development's been going. And then, Teddy Prohaska, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? I think at this point I think it'd probably be in his best interest just to hang it up.
Don't we still have Corcoran?
Corcoran, who he actually played pretty well when he was at guard, I thought.
He just couldn't
who's center?
It'll be Justin Evans.
Okay. All right.
So Husker Chuck says the offensive line looks deep. I'm concerned about the tackle play. Worried about injuries there, Hoss.
Well, I mean, they're 300-pound dirigible guys. They run into each other every play over and over and over. There's always going to be injuries.
Did you say dirigible?
Yeah, just dirigible. I'm a dirigible.
Michael Passman also said the offensive line has more depth than it has had in a long time. Now, again, they just need to stay healthy, and the offense should make a big jump.
At least if they lose
healthy. In the previous comment, touched on it. Injuries. How bad that could be. You have to stay healthy. I mean, the best teams are healthy teams by the end of the year. It'd be nice to finally get a year where we don't have freak injuries left and right or just guys dropping constantly. It feels like Nebraska for the past 15 years has just been one constant revolving door of major season-ending injuries.
Yeah. According to Mr. Boardman, Gatula, Latovsky, Evans, Spindler, and Kanak were running with the ones today.
Okay.
And
Where was Pritchett?
Yeah. Saw him out there.
You mentioned Kanak and individuals of a certain age. We'll say my Sharona.
That's terrible. That is terrible. I just
no appreciation for that. Come on now.
okay. Why, Fred? You bastard!
Fred, I love it.
James Boardman says Pritchett was with the twos. He lacks focus. He says, I mentioned it in the spring, but the Thursday night host scoffed at me.
You scoffed at him. What the hell are you doing? You scoff. You're a scoffer, Greg. Admit it.
I think eventually Pritchett's raw talent would probably take over, as fall camp goes on. I think that having somebody with that kind of talent, they'll find a way to get him focused. I'm not trying to take anything away from Gatula. I just heaped a lot of praise on him earlier. But I think when you have that kind of athleticism at left tackle, a guy that's going to be kind of on an island by himself when we're sliding protections the other way, and he's going to be one-on-one with the opponent's best edge rusher. At the end of the day, I think the talent will will out.
We got 30 shit.
30 shit?
31 days till the game. So
a month.
Well, that's the time to, not a lot, but it should be plenty of time to be able to figure out exactly who's going to be,
what's crazy is we're 31 days out from the game, and it feels like it'll be here before you know it. By the time it hits like August 12th, time will slow to a crawl.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the summer's gone by fast and slow at the same time, which sounds, I don't know, not counterproductive, but oxymoronic, whatever. Brad Wilson says the Black Shirts performance is the key to 2025 boys.
I agree.
I think it's the offense. Of course, I think everything favors the offense. I think the years are gone that you used to say defense wins championship.
Well, I think my big question mark up front is defensive line. Are we able to generate the same kind of pressure that we were last year with the D line?
Because we lost a couple of really solid anchors. And how's like Riley Van Poppel going to fit in? And is he going to have this is not the best analogy, but is he going to have Jared Crick 2009 season or Jared Crick 2010 season?
That is actually a really good analogy, because was he effective?
Good job, Greg.
Attention was elsewhere.
Yeah. So, but Cam Lenhart, we've got was it Williams Nwaneri from Missouri?
Desan McCullough.
Elijah Judy is right.
Yep. I think Elijah Judy will be really good. He was playing really well at the end of last year.
What about Willis McGay? Willis McGay, he's going to be a linebacker, right?
Yep.
Not an edge rusher?
Him and, you'll see him line up situationally. Sure. Yeah.
I feel like I'm missing one. Oh, Vincent Shavers, but again, I think he's going to be similar to that McGahee type of flexibility, right?
Yep.
So I did see some podium work, press conference work with Cam Lenhart, and it looks like he has bulked up, from, I guess maybe, I don't want to say 2 years ago. I feel like that's a very long stretch of time, but, we saw a lot of potential from him in 2023. And I think in his third year now, we're going to see, because we're going to have to see a pretty substantial leap forward for him.
I'll be back.
Okay.
All right. John's going to take his nightly blue chew.
Well, it's the dog, actually.
The dog gets his blue chew? Well, he stepped out the other day. Says, what's your opinion on Corey Campbell of Texas Tech versus the Pede family?
A lot of oil money. Lot of oil money.
I'm not familiar with the story, so I don't know.
Texas Tech's basically buying the best team money can buy.
Oh, it's not going to work for them.
I think Texas Tech will be a playoff team this year.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, I know the Big 12 is gutted. I mean, realistically, there are so few contenders in the conference that they're taking in.
Whoa. You're leaving out Fred Sacco's favorite coach, Scott fucking Frost.
I was just going to say, they're scraping the bottom of the college football barrel when they got to get in UCF. So,
Kansas State will be really solid too.
Lay down.
Rostovsky says that Tech is doing that in every sport.
Oh,
all right, bud.
Did she poop on your floor, John?
she is. Well, it's raining like hell. There's storms, and she shook all.
Oh,
John, you look like the kind of old guy that can sense a storm is coming because the barometric pressure changes in your knees and shoulders.
What? Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah. No, I don't feel things. At least not until today. Maybe there's hope.
Fred said earlier, he said, Haas got called a son of a bitch before Greg and even me was not on my bingo card.
Wait a minute. In 2 years' time, I think in two more years, Texas Tech and SMU are just going to own all the sports.
SMU, that one, they're just buying it up too.
Yeah.
All those rich Dallas oilmen and real estate tycoons.
And they're going to make up for it for years of being made fun of for like being Texas Tech or being SMU. And if they're really rich guys, they're probably older like me. And they're like, we'll show you death penalty, you bastards. And then they'll just buy everything.
Honestly, that does raise a good, how does SMU come back from the death penalty in the 1980s to being a better?
Well, it took them almost 40 years.
Yeah, but Nebraska's fall from grace was 25 years ago.
Ours is almost purely self-inflicted.
It is.
Okay.
It is. It completely.
I mean, theirs was too, sort of. So.
We like institutionally mismanaged every decision. We made the decision that was wrong.
Yes, I agree with that. You had the weight of it. Always had to be a Nebraska guy. That's the one good thing Scott Frost did for us, is we don't have to hire. We're not special. Nobody understands us. You just hire the best coaches you can. They don't have to be tied to your program. You don't have to be buddies. We don't have to like them, really. I mean,
just
you
win,
want to
baby.
hate them, but just win games. I think that haunted us for years. And then you're right. Every decision we made just was terrible.
I mean, I think that's what I enjoyed about the coaching search to get Rule. It was probably our first legitimate real coaching search since Devaney.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Nebraska Strong says, Haas, if you were to take over the D, would you keep the 3-3-5?
I'd run the Blue Chew front. No, in all honesty.
You'd go at them hard and fast.
Hard and fast. Get after their asses.
Get a gata. There you go.
No, in all honesty, if I were to be the defensive coordinator, I like the 3-3-5 and the flexibility that it allows you to line up one way, give a little bit of space, and fill from depth. You're not always just gapping people out and trying to cancel them pre-snap. But at the same time, I do think that there is some value in aligning in a way to cancel out gaps pre-snap. I think that, especially when you're playing against like an Iowa, or if you were to look on the other side of the coin, how Iowa plays their defense, they're in either a 4-2-5 or a 4-3, and then in short yards, they're going to bring their corners in the run game. And so I think something similar, I would probably run something similar to that. Probably a 4-2-5, mix in a little bit of bear front with it.
I'm going to.
You know how much that hurt me to actually say something nice about Iowa?
Yeah,
I'm gonna close the loop on this, the beginning of your response to the end of your response, because 12 minutes ago, the other Dave said, if you're under 30, go for the A gap. If you're over 30, settle for the V gap. And I don't know.
What the hell?
None of us are under 30 in here.
God, I was laughing at the Ford Dong front.
Yeah, I don't know if Fred says awesome.
What the hell?
Four
Are you
dogs.
guys this? Are you people this childish when I'm not here?
Yes.
John,
That's good.
John, this is just the tip here.
Is it okay?
This is not what the normal Monday night therapy looks like. I just want you all to know that.
Okay.
Minnie has class and we do not. So,
Yeah.
All right. So Gary, with an interesting question or statement, I should say, I was just thinking about this. The Osborne offense worked with any player they put in. It wasn't a few trick plays designed for certain guys. Rule needs to be thinking that way.
Yeah, we need to have a system.
Yeah.
But the system takes time. Like I don't think Osborne. Go ahead, Oz.
It just takes repetition. You have to have an identity, and I hate how identity's been such a hackneyed phrase in Nebraska football over the past 25 years. But you have to have an identity. You have to recruit to it. You have to develop it. You have to know what each facet of the offense looks like within that identity. Hey, we want to be a great inside run team. Okay, well, we're probably going to run a lot of inside zone isolation plays between the tackles. Okay, what's our footwork that we're going to work on every day in practice? Best offensive lines. There's a great Milt Teneper clinic tape on YouTube right now where he talks about the steps. It's from 96. Talks about the steps. Every day they rep the same steps in practice. It was just to have it be second nature. So if it was 46 ISO or 44 ISO, hey, that defender's on the inside gap. I'm stepping with my inside foot. I'm stepping 5 inches. I'm getting upfield. I'm making violent contact, getting upfield on him. And I think that's the way you have to approach it. You have to have everything kind of synergistically together between the schemes, your personnel, and how you're teaching it every day in practice. And not just hey, you block this guy. It's how you block this guy. You have to teach it conceptually. This is what we're trying to do on the play, not just rote memorization of, oh, this is how we block 42 power.
I think the other thing is to remember that there's so much change since Osborne. You had different player roster limits. You had different scholarship limits. I can't remember the year that the scholarship limit dropped, but he had 150 guys on his roster. And Matt Rule and every other college coach in the nation this year had to be told that by July, you're going to have to cut down to 105 because that's going to be the roster limit. And, that depth is a big thing in there when you get your team going and things like that, and the people that fit into the positions, and then having to deal with a completely different rule structure is, I'm not making excuses. Just be aware that, things have changed so much over that time frame that, you couldn't run the eye. You couldn't run the wishbone now and be successful. No, I know people want to believe that, but it's, that's part of the History Channel thing. I do have a fully developed script I need to shoot for the I formation. I included 5 plays, Haas. I did the wishbone video and I included real clips in it. I got demonetized and I made $20 and it's got 250,000 views. So I hired an animator. Go watch the Veer. I did a video on the Veer, the first triple option offense. I hired a guy to animate the plays. He's going to animate hopefully 5 plays if I can afford it for the eye. So the ISO, the triple option, obviously, and the fullback trap, USC's student body right, because it was an early play that, really kind of set things in motion for the I formation. And then the last one is going to be the counter sweep by Nebraska, where, pulling the backside guards and stuff like that. But I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, you're talking about how the eye and the wishbone won't work anymore.
Yeah, they just.
I'm of the opinion, whatever offense you run, you just have to commit to it.
Right.
Have a plan for how you recruit and develop the talent to go execute at a high level.
Well, that was the thing earlier about decide who you are, and then you have to figure out who am I, who are we together as an offense, and then that's it. You got to have 3 plays that we can run and make yardage.
Well, I'll switch back to I complimented Marcus Satterfield to start the show. dogged on him in the middle. Then I'm going to go dog on him again here.
Yeah.
Starting in that Minnesota game in 23 when Jeff Sims and Anthony Grant, totally effed that one away for us. From the first snap, it was like, what the fuck are we running here? Like, you had elements of modern spread option. You had elements of the Nebraska I from back in the day. And then you had a bunch of like San Francisco 49ers run game concepts, some quarterback run game concepts. And then on top of that, we were also trying to be like super pro style in our passing game. And it was just a Frankenstein of an offense, So you have to have a plan from day one,
Yeah.
And if you have to take your lumps as you're installing your offense after taking a job and trying to develop guys for it, so be it. You got to play the long game. And Grant, I say that with the notion that we would have been out in the streets with pitchforks if, it would have gotten worse than 5-7 in year one. But at the end of the day, like, you can't be just a jack of all trades in offensive football. That's the thing. Like, Holgorsen does a nice job of dressing up different concepts game to game, but at their core, they're still the same 4 to 5 base concepts. It's just with different formations, different motions, different situations that you're calling them in. We're going to run mesh a lot this year. That's going to be one of our core concepts.
You think so?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that we're going to be running that a lot. We ran that. We started running a lot in the bowl game against Boston College. And I think the bowl game against Boston College is where you saw probably and the Iowa game as well, the truest iterations of what we're going to be running. But against Boston College, we ran more mesh, and then we ran it with multiple variations. We had a flat route for the running back. We had a wheel route for the running back. The one thing that I don't know if we're going to do is if we're going to run the mesh spot play where you have the third receiver come over top of the crossing routes. I don't know if we're going to run them deep like some teams do, but I think you're going to see different variations to take advantage of different types of coverages. And I think that's going to be fun on a week-to-week basis to see, okay, what are we running this time? What are we including this time? And, Greg, I saw you shaking your head when I referenced that Iowa game again. That offensive game plan was actually a really solid one that we had against Iowa.
Was I shaking my head about that, or was I shaking my head at Fred?
Mel Tucker was a jack of all trades. Remember our song we made up on the old Five Heart podcast?
Nope.
Mel Tucker is a real, and like you were going to say football coach, and John said motherfucker.
I don't remember that at all.
I do.
Yeah.
I have such a bad. How is it that John's? Hold on. Let me do this right. How is it that John's been dead and never been to Europe and has a better memory than me? Maybe it's because he has a mystery that involves the dent in his head. But I'll tell you, he's definitely able to manage his damage as a heart attack survivor. And I encourage you to check out all of these books at Amazon.com.
I think your memory is worse because you're entering that phase of fatherhood where your kids are going to they if they haven't already, you think they have, but they're now slowly getting to the point where they're going to take away what you thought you were as a human being and tune you into something completely different that you thought you'd never be. There's a reason why you get here and you're angry all the time.
John, I still remember when I first joined Corn Nation, your Slack bio said, I like to get drunk and yell online.
It's mad online.
Online.
Still says that, yeah.
Oh, John, how long you been clean and sober?
I don't know, over 5 years.
I think it's more than that. I think it was like 2018 or 19 or something.
No, it's 2020. It was during the pandemic. Yeah.
Didn't realize
I'll be 10. I'll be 10 soon.
Yeah. Hey, happy early birthday.
Yeah, August 21st.
We'll get you a bicycle. All right, we have a one or two more serious comments that I've started throughout the night, and then some fun ones. Blaine Cole says, how would you rate Rule in the recruiting game? Are we being set up for future potential?
I give him a solid blue-collar B+.
I do like how some of the players that he has recruited who have committed, whether it's Dayton Raiola, Trey Taylor, they're really good ambassadors and doing a lot of the heavy lifting for him as far as like the peer recruiting. Hoss.
I have a hot take about Dayton Raiola.
Okay.
He will never play it down here. He'll be on the team, but he will never play it down.
Because of the talent around him?
I think Trey Taylor will overtake him.
What about TJ Lateef? Is he going to be another one who?
I think TJ Lateef's going to be good. I think, redshirt him. So, Dylan goes, if Dylan were to go pro after his junior year, I think it goes to Lateef naturally. Marco Davila, he was just kind of he's basically like a camp arm in the NFL. They took him for depth purposes. But, yeah, I think Lateef would be good. I don't know. I kind of feel like Dayton Raiola was sometimes we took him because we got Dylan.
He's going to have to prove himself.
Yep.
But I think in the rest of it, you look at the guys that he's picked up. Rocco Spindler was on a playoff team. The other dude, Alabama, was a team that a lot of people in the South, they should have been in the playoff. But, we're not – for a team that still was shitty for 10 years, so bad they didn't make a bowl game, then finally make a bowl game, we're picking up a lot of top-flight players that want to be here. So it's a matter of actually coaching them properly.
One thing I love about Rule with recruiting, and one thing I don't, the thing I love is his embracing of the portal. I mean, he was very, very selective almost to a fault the first year with the portal because it had been something that kind of became more prominent while he was in the NFL. But then he really leaned into it in year 2, and then this year with the additions we have. As far as his high school recruiting, the fact that you got a guy in your own backyard, Jet Tamala, who's going to Alabama, and you don't offer him, I mean, maybe he doesn't come here, but you got to at least try. Right. You got Wheeler, the back out of Millard South, who's going to play for Fat Bert over in Champaign, Illinois. I mean, these guys don't grow on trees in Nebraska. You got to lock down your home state. That's my most boomer take with Husker football is you got to lock down the in-state recruiting. If a guy is that good that other programs want him, you got to throw all your efforts on the table.
And I would venture to say that with a few exceptions, at least football talent, prep football talent in Nebraska is probably at an all-time high.
Oh, yeah.
For years.
Yeah, probably going back to maybe since Almon Green was essentially the top player in the country coming out of Omaha Central.
By the way, a couple of comments about your hot take. Fred says, Hoss, Minnie going to slash your tires real good. And then living in Omaha, David Matney, the official realtor of the 5 Heart podcast, says, Hoss, that is not a Minnie-approved hot take.
No, David.
And Pitt Snipe Husker says, Dayton will get every opportunity here, but I'm afraid Hoss is probably right. Taking a highly rated quarterback in every class naturally leads to a transfer or two. Rostovsky says just the least impressive top recruit in the state he's ever seen. So,
opinions.
Rule did say that. What did he say about the Nebraska recruiting thing? Something about ghosts of the past or coaches of the past hung on to that. And,
yep.
Yeah.
I agree with him to a point, but I'll say this: if things go sideways in the Rule era, that's going to be the first page of the Rule era's obituary.
Well, that's true. That is one thing. If you win, you can get away with murder. If you don't win, they're looking for anything. You're a witch.
Let's see. Michael Hassman earlier says special teams has been special ed the last several years. Honestly, I mean, this is, I think, our first opportunity to hear from both of you. How important was it that we got a special teams coach like Mike Ekeler back on staff? I say back because, of course, he was a linebackers coach here in years past. But the special teams unit that he coached down in Tennessee was one of the top ones in the country. So it definitely seemed like it was a area of emphasis for Matt Rule.
Sorry,
it's 2 wins.
Laughing at Fred's comment. Sorry.
It's 2 wins. Is
Yeah,
that
it's
it?
2
How big
wins.
an impact? It's 2 wins. It's 2
And
extra wins.
Tennessee's special teams went from being god awful to being really good in a hurry under Ekeler.
I would have really liked to see us play them.
I would have too.
Gargamel says Tamala will transfer back home in a couple of years. Take the Elijah Pritchett, Tuscaloosa to Lincoln route. It's the longer route, but whatever. David Matney says it would be nice if a PAT was not a 50-50 event.
Right.
I think anybody's going to argue with that. And
I do agree with, Rostovsky pointed out you can't take developmental guys like most Nebraska kids are. There is a disadvantage that most Nebraska kids have. That is a disadvantage most Nebraska kids have, the developmental aspect of it. But I still think, Kalen DeBoer in Alabama wants to get a quarterback out of your backyard. He's probably pretty good.
Right.
And let's just be realistic, maybe in the last 20 years of college football, if Alabama wants them, where they've been versus where Nebraska's been, realistically, what chance did Nebraska have? I mean, I know you said they didn't even give them a shot, but I don't know. One's been in the playoffs, so
I'm going to show this. Yeah, Nebraska strong. Go Big Red says I'd give him a B. He gets a lower grade for hiring Marcus Satterfield and Ed Foley. Both were complete failures, and picking Sims as our starting QB in 2023. Here's how do I don't remember how to take that off.
I got you.
I have a theory about this, and it's I'm a flat earther, and here's how Matt Rule has set up his first 3 years. First of all, when you're a head coach, I think one of the worst things that you coming into a program that's been down, the worst thing you can do is win big in the first year. I think the first year is your year to figure out what the hell is going on at this place. What can I do with it? So the first thing you get right is defense.
I agree.
Because, you work on defense and you make sure in your first year that you get the defense right. In your second year, what do you do next? You get the offense right because you got to score points because, you only won let's say 5 games last year and people are starting to get like, they can't score points. And then offense second year, you get the offense right. And then what do you do in the third year?
You win big.
You special teams, you've got special teams you bring in. I don't think you can do all – most of the time you can't do all that stuff at once. I just don't think you can. They're not.
And you could do it once, but you couldn't sustain it.
Yeah, I think his plan. That's how his plan works. I think that's a plan for a lot of college coaches. I've never been able to prove this, but I could prove the Earth is flat.
All right, John, where do you think the firmaments are?
What's an firmament?
The firmaments.
Oh, the firmament?
Yeah, it's the fermented water you used to drink.
Well, that was in a corn bar, a cook bottle thing.
Rostovsky had this question earlier.
I'd have to ask.
There was a lot of validity to Aaron's comment here until John's last minute or so of talking. He says, "Is this playing on a speaker at the Haas household? If so, Lane is learning so much from Papa John." He talked about flat earthing and.
Yeah. Lane went to bed about an hour ago. He had his shots today, so he was
cranky.
Yeah, he's been cranky.
Yeah.
But what was it? I have his combine numbers from the doctor's office today,
Oh. How's he shaping up?
24 inches long, 13 pounds, and his head circumference is 15.7 inches. So he's got a big melon, just like his dad.
Nice. Well, we'll keep, let's keep, hopefully he keeps developing and hits the weight room and puts on that functional weight.
He'll be a Lawrence Taylor pass rusher, just,
Adam Beyer said earlier, don't have enough whiskey for the upcoming season, but I think that's unfairly pessimistic. And it's not.
Maybe he's a joy celebrator.
Yeah. Maybe he's like, hey, I'm going to crack open this bottle of Pappy Van Winkle after we beat Michigan by 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Here's a comment that, Hoss, you're really going to enjoy. I know you and Fred have bonded over this topic in the past. Phil Snow is the Tony Soprano to Butler's Uncle Junior.
100%.
And that when you were regular on Thursday nights talking about Sopranos with Fred, Minnie actually went out and watched the show for the first time ever. She watched the show front to back, and then she's telling me about Sopranos. I'm like, Minnie, I've never seen Sopranos.
Well,
I was like,
you need to fucking watch it. Okay?
Well, I was going to say, on top of that, I really don't have any interest in watching the Sopranos.
You should watch it.
So we'll see, but it's not on my.
You know, I'm going to send you a box set for Christmas.
Oh, buddy, save your money.
No.
Start up Lane's college fund.
That, or do you want me to drive to Belleville? We'll drink Yingling Light and watch bowl games over the holidays. You
know, you say that, and then Aaron Keene said earlier, call Greg Anakin because he's slaying those Yinglings.
You know, what was it? The close. Where'd you buy my Yingling when you came up to Nebraska? Was it Rockport, Missouri?
No, it was. It was a small little town right off the interstate.
Well, my plan before the season kicks off, I'm going to take a drive down to Missouri and buy like 5 or 6 cases of Yingling Light for the season.
That's fine.
Yep.
That's a wonderful way to spend your money.
You know, the worst thing about Missouri, all the Missourians.
Right. But speaking of beverages, Aaron also, Aaron Keene says, Kool-Aid.
Well, it is the first day of camp. It is, almost August. It's time to start getting, just slowly climbing up the beanstalk that's growing.
This Kool-Aid's better than the cyanide-laced Kool-Aid that Scott Frost and Mark Whipple tried to give us 3 years ago.
There you go. There you go.
I will never ever forgive Mark Whipple.
Never. Didn't even give Heinrich Haarberg a shot.
He's a nobody from Nowheresville, is what his words were.
Aaron says, by the way, regarding Lane, left tackle for Nebraska 2038.
I'd be happy with that.
I feel like that's 13 years from now.
Yeah, he'd have to be 2043.
Oh, no, he's talking about his kid.
Oh.
I have a kid starting kindergarten at 80 pounds. The average is 40 or 50. Head and height are also 97 plus percentile. So
2038, Aaron, we're looking at a new pipeline at Nebraska.
Maybe. Let's see. No Sopranos for Greg. I don't even know who you are anymore. Sorry, Fred. Soft drink of choice.
Diet Dr. Pepper.
John?
I eat Diet Coke.
I drink ski.
Or Dr. Pepper.
I also love energy drinks.
Ski is Mountain Dew, but better and healthier. It's got that real pure cane sugar, not that high fructose corn stuff. And it's real lemon, real orange, real good. It's also bottled locally, and it's the best out of the glass bottles that you return right there to the factory and get a refill. So come to Southern Illinois. I drove ski down to Brian Toll in Dallas, Texas before, just so y'all know.
Pour one out.
The other Dave says, just got the kids down. You're still going. Bravo. I feel great about my GBR obsession. 365, 24/7. Let's see. Figured Haas would be a Diet Fanta guy.
Nice Sopranos reference, Fred. You don't want something with sugar in it?
All right. I think last but not least, let's get this one here. Fred wants to know, and he asked this one over an hour ago, when are we going to mosey on down to Young Guns, John?
Oh, my God, I forgot about that completely.
We haven't.
Internet doesn't forget, John.
If you're talking about content, one thing I've enjoyed recently is on Amazon Prime a movie called The 36th Chamber of Shaolin.
How long is that movie?
Well, it's from like 1977.
Okay.
John, you strike me as somebody that would have read like Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment.
Yeah.
Did you?
War and Peace.
I read a lot of that stuff. You know what? I tell you, a true test of a
Were
good
you a
person
philosophy major at UNL?
No. No. I was one of the few people that read two things I can guarantee you 98% of humanity hasn't. I read the book about Lewis and Clark's expedition when I was like in 6th grade, and then in 7th grade. Then this wasn't required. And then I also read Uncle Tom's Cabin, which I think it might be 700 pages. So,
John, next time you're here in the greater St. Louis area, I'm going to take you to the Arch, to the Jefferson Memorial. We'll learn a little bit more about Lewis and Clark, about frontier days in old school St. Louis, and you'll learn something. In fact, that's an offer open to anybody. And I'll tell you why, because you can get into the Arch for free. It just costs money to go up. But I'll take it.
All right.
Was that a radio bit?
No. No, I save my best bits for Blue Chew. You know that. So, guys, this is a lot of fun. Thank you both so much. I know it was kind of short notice throwing this together, but it was great to reunite the team a little bit and look forward to more conversations. We've got the first game of the season on Thursday, August 28th. So we're actually doing our 5-heart on that Monday. Please feel free to jump in, and we can at least maybe for a little bit do some season predictions. And, but guys, just thank you so much for making this show. If you guys didn't show up, it was going to be being by myself, and I guarantee you it would not have been a 2-hour show. So this is for all the people out there who have missed you guys, and great to see you guys and contribute. And Haas, John, thank you both so much for joining me tonight.
Sure, Greg.
That is it for Monday Night Therapy. And John, since you were the original host of Monday Night Therapy, you know how I when I sit in, I close the show the way you closed the show. Minnie has a very nice thing that she reads about the community, everybody having a voice, and not to take anything away from that, but I like the nice and simple. Good night, John.
Good night, Greg. Good night, Haas.
Good night, guys.
Good night, Haas.
Score 40 points per game.
Yeah.
That's it. 40 points per game, 10-2. That's our bet.
11-1.
Even better. 12-0. What?